Well, we are here with the Commonwealth Champion 2019, Tania Sachdev. Tania, you defended your title. This is your third victory. It's becoming like a habit, yeah?
A habit that I'm not getting tired of. No, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling to win the gold.
Yeah, I mean, this time it was very closely contested. There was Divya, there was Bhakti, there was Vaishali. I think it was not easy.
I think any tournament that happens in India is just never easy. The talent here is so immense, and I think every opponent that I played was younger than me. So it was funny. I felt like a bit of a fossil here, but it's never easy here, and this was no exception.
Sure. And right now we have your trophy over here. Is
Yes.
this yours?
It is my future trophy. So no, this is actually Bhayu's trophy. We got the same trophy, but his is the open one.
Okay, but
So
it's the same one you
it's
won
as beautiful and as big.
as last year, yes?
Yeah, last year was also a very special trophy, and it's kind of nice to get trophies because we don't get them anymore. You know,
Yeah.
from our under 10, 12, under 14 years, there was a lot of that. But trophies is something that's rare now, so it's
Sure.
always nice to win one.
Great. And you scored 6 points out of 9.
Yes.
And can we look at one of or couple of critical positions from your game?
Yeah, absolutely. I think overall I had interesting games, but there were definitely moments when I felt like I messed up positions. The two games that I lost were quite difficult because I really felt like those were not positions that one should lose, just having the position on the board. I mean, one was against Arvind. I was actually pawn up in that ending, and
Yeah.
I got a lost position after winning the pawn in like 7 moves, just completely collapsed. The same thing happened in my game against my game yesterday, where I really it shouldn't be
Against
hard to
Iniyan.
hold. Yes, against Iniyan, and it's really not hard to hold at all. And both of them were end games, and I think that's something to look into because I feel like there was a bit of a pattern. Maybe it's energy and studying more end games. So definitely I'll get to that later. After yesterday's loss, it was quite hard because I was in a must-win situation. Also, Divya's play had a very. She's such a strong player. I mean, I was watching her play. This was the first time that I saw her play, and I was so impressed. I mean, she's what, all of like 13 or something, 12 or 13 years
She's
old.
13 years old.
She's 13 years old, and she just plays with so much conviction on the board. She had a really, really good tournament. She was half a point ahead of me going into the final game today. I think we're definitely going to see her in the Indian team very, very soon.
Well, it's very nice of you to talk about her. You talking about her on your own shows that you really are backing her as a talent.
No, absolutely. I mean, when you see something that's impressive and, you know, it's definitely the future of Indian women chess. And just think like her character and the way she plays is impressive. And it's going to be interesting to see how far she goes ahead. But she definitely has a very bright future.
Amazing. Okay.
So this game, right? So this was against, this was from round 7. Against Ajay Karthikeyan. He's a very talented youngster, like all other Indians. It's been so difficult to play against all these kids who are definitely got a very bright future ahead, and they really fight it out on the board. So this was a very interesting game that I had. It had been very complicated, and now both of us were really short on time in this particular position. And here, Ajay Karthikeyan took Queen G5 here. So here after Queen G5, I'm a pawn down in this position, but of course it's still very complex because White's king is open. There's the open G file, open F file. The knights
It's very
are on the board.
complicated. I mean, you can't really assess it very quickly.
Especially when you're short on the clock. But the thing was that, you know, given the tournament situation, these are the kind of positions that I was looking for, because with black you can't really play safe and expect to get a good result, especially against these talented youngsters. So
Yeah.
you want to make it complex, and you want to make it the sort of position where anything can happen. So here after Queen G5, the point is if I take Queen A4, Rook E5 really simplifies the game, and I don't think like black will have much counterplay. I have to try to avoid exchanges of pieces here, which is why I just simply went back Queen C7, and we were both down to like 2 or 3 minutes on the clock. position is not simple at all because I've got rook g8 coming with threats on g3. Here I think the strongest move for white was bishop c2 against the idea of knight d3, and the game just continues. While it was going on, later on I checked, white is slightly better here, but not by much. While it was going on, I was really enjoying the position because
really, you are enjoying in time trouble this position.
Okay, if you know me, you know how much I play in time trouble. So that wasn't the point. The point was that getting such positions with black is always the idea when you're trying to win a game. So he didn't go bishop c2, and that's the thing with these positions. It's so easy to collapse and to make mistakes. So he played rook h6, which is such a move that comes to your mind. He's putting pressure on my f6 knight, and it's hard to think of a good square for the knight. But here I had a really nice trick, so I just go rook g8, putting pressure on the g file. Here,
I mean, you can just win queen in. You can win a piece with queen into f6, right?
Exactly. So that's the point here. So you think you're blundering. Wait a second. What about the piece? But the thing is that you can't really take. He took queen f6 without much thought, and queen f6 loses immediately to knight d3. Oh. So there's just threats all over the board. So queen g3 is a threat, and the thing is that this you'd sacrifice another rook, but it just goes into mate.
Amazing.
So if king f1, you've got queen f2, and if king h1, you've got queen g1. And if not, he just loses the exchange, and he just panicked completely, and actually he just lost on time, but this position is already lost. But what's really interesting here is that queen f6 loses to knight d3, but even if you go queen f4 or queen h4, black just takes on g3, and this is really pretty, and this I'd seen that rook h6 actually loses on the spot to rook g8, because there's no way to defend against this threat.
Okay,
the point,
if I take queen g3?
Yeah, so queen g3, I just go rook g7, and you win 2 rooks for the queen, but your king is too exposed. But the more important thing is what happens after king g3. And here you give rook check. And the point is that no matter where your king goes, there's a check with the knight, and you will lose the queen by force.
This is a beautiful position.
Yeah, it was actually really pretty. And while I was playing, I wasn't sure if everything was working, but I checked later on and everything was working. And actually rook h6 is the losing move in the position.
Right.
After rook g8, there's just no way to defend, because like I was saying here, whether you go to f2 or you go to h2 or you go to h4, there's a discover check with the knight and you lose the queen. So this was kind of a nice win.
Yeah, I think this was really good. You held your nerve quite well.
Yeah.
I think queen c7 was a key move. If you hadn't played that, you wouldn't have got all these tactics flowing.
I think it's really important to the concept of keeping the pressure on the board that we learn when we're, when we're growing up. And I think, yeah, just trying to keep pieces. I mean, I know I'm a pawn less, and probably after bishop c2 in that position, white is objectively better, but it's still game because there are pieces on the board.
Right. Okay. So Tania, after this tactical victory, it's time to look at an endgame. I guess you had a very tough endgame against Iniyan, a talented youngster in the 8th round.
Yeah, so this was my game from yesterday, and again it had been a very interesting, complex King's Indian, and I was quite happy with the way things had gone in the middle game. I mean, I ended up in this position, but it had been a, the kind of game that you want to play in terms of it being interesting chess. So here, when I got this position, I thought after king d4, white has no problem in holding this position at all.
You are white, yes.
I'm white here. I'm white and Iniyan is black. I actually thought that after king d4, it should be an easy, easy to hold, and okay, fine, it's been a complex game, a fair result. Now here, black has a very interesting resource, which is rook b5. The point is that you're threatening rook b4 check to trade off. So for example, this is what I saw, that if I just make a move, let's say h4, black goes rook b4, you trade off the rooks, and it might look like you're losing a pawn, but the point is that after king e5, king b4 takes here, and now black is just winning. Because we know this ending, it's a basic king pawn ending where black just waits here, and there's no way to wait for your with your king defending this pawn. So just coming back to this position, after rook b5, here I thought rook b4 is a real threat. But the point that I want to show, there's a pawn on e4. In the game, because I thought rook b4 is a real threat, I went king c4, allowing rook b2, and it became an ending where I think I could have resisted better, and there were still some chances to hold, but I collapsed and I I think I definitely did not offer the best resistance after this point. It was a bit of a race here and he won
Yes,
comfortably.
I think black gets his king to e5. Also, your king side pawns are weak, so it looks difficult.
It looks difficult. Again, both short on time, so it wasn't the best way to proceed. But the point is here, what again I realized later when I was analyzing my game, that actually rook b4 does not win. And here simply h4
Really?
holds the position. Because now if you go with your rook to b2, let's say to attack, then I just take on a5 and put pressure on d6. My king on d4 defends your king from coming to e5, which is very important. White holds without problem. But the main point is that after rook b4, a b4, I had seen a move like king c4, which loses on the spot to king e5. But here white has a very nice tactic with e5, which I missed on the board, I think understandably.
Yeah, not easy at all.
It's not easy, but it's very beautiful. And after e5, the point is, now also you can delay e5 by playing a move like g3, because black has to go b3, but anytime before you go with your king for the b pawn, you have to first give e5 check.
It's like these King's Indian motifs where the e5 square is, the knight is coming there, so you play e5 and then d5 and you play f5.
You're
Something
so
like
right,
this.
Sagar. Like e5 square is so much more important than a pawn in all these King's Indian or these Benoni structures where you often sacrifice these pawns. So after e5, the point is that after taking here, now you come with the king, and there is no way that black can improve. For example, e4, you just take here and you're just in time with everything, and it holds. But the point that I missed was this move with e5, which defends everything, and went on to lose this game. This was yesterday. I was very upset after this, and coming into the last round, I knew whatever chances I had was only to go for a win with the black pieces. I managed to pull that off, and some other results worked my way. So all's well that ends well.
Yeah, taking back a big trophy home. Tania, thank you for sharing such wonderful positions. I'm sure people will learn a lot out of these positions.
Thank you, Sagar.
What will you do next now?
So after this, I've got, I'm playing the BL Masters, and then I'm going to play in Riga. So I've got 2 important big events coming up.
So right now you're in the player mode.
Yes.
And any other mode coming up soon, or nothing planned yet?
Nothing planned yet. Right now, this is what I'm focusing on.
Well, we hope that you get your remaining GM norm and move towards the GM title.
Thank you.